Hello aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole and today I have some flower watercolor doodles that we are going to do. So let me show you my technique. For this project you will need some angular brushes, a script liner brush or a detail brush, some paper towel, watercolor paper, your paints of choice, some water, and I do like to use a spray bottle to wet my paint. All the supplies that I use will be listed in the description of this video. So the first thing I did was play around with these brushes, and I did a lot of doodling so that I came up with a couple of these designs. So here's some cute little flowers that I made, and I just fussy cutted them out that I could use for decorating in a different project. I absolutely love this little round one. I think it looks like a lollipop. And then I made sketches of how I wanted to make these bouquet of flowers. So I'm going to transfer my sketch onto my good watercolor paper. And notice I am just doing the shapes. We do not need any petals at this point. We just want to make sure that our composition is exactly where we want it. For this project, I wanted my bouquet nicely centered so that I could mat these later to give for gifts. And now we're ready to begin. So I'm going to show you how I load the brush. My mixture of the main color is a milky consistency, and then the very tip, I'm just lightly dragging it across the darker color so that I have a very dark tip and the rest is light. This is going to give us that really pretty gradation of color. Now I would practice on a scrap piece of paper for these roses. You're doing these petals in a very wide arc, kind of like you're making ovals or circles, and you get almost this rainbow effect, but just with two colors. First arc is going to be a very large arc. That's going to be your main petal of the rose. And then I'm coming in with my 1/4 inch brush to do the inner petal. And you're going to do it in the exact same way. So you get that darker color on the top part, and then you're going to finish off the circle with closing that arc on the bottom. And with your wider brush, you're going to make those half circle marks. I'm running out of paper because I'm using a very small scrap, but I would extend all these petals, you guys, further down. I would do a few more petals, but that's basically it. So the rose is super easy. Just practice doing the overarch, underarch, the half circles, and I basically just filled up a scrap piece of paper doing all these practice petals. All right, let's do the real deal here. I'm going to do my first flower is going to be the main rose, and it's going to be a full luscious rose. So I have my first petal down, coming in with that smaller brush to do the middle arc, closing that arc with the bottom one, coming in with the half circle strokes, and all those little nooks and crannies, I'm just filling it in with these cute little strokes. So that's one rose down, and I'm going to grab my 3/8 of an inch brush to do the rest of the flowers. So I'm basically butting up the flower to my main flower, and I'm going to put in all these cute little rose petals and buds around my main flower. So here comes my lollipop. Lollipop, lollipop. I just love how cute this turned out. So a couple of lollipops here and there. I'm doing a little bit of a variation with some of these little buds. Now that I'm done with the buds, I'll show you what I did with the leaves. So just really quick leaves, a couple of strokes. You could vary up your strokes like I'm showing you here. But basically I'm just taking green, and I just practiced on a scrap piece of paper. Back to our composition. I'm using my script liner brush at this point to put in all of these wonderful stems. Once you have all your stems in, I'm switching back to my angular brush, putting in the base leaves really quick, and then adding some nice luscious green ones to the stems. And you can add as many or as little amount of leaves as you want. I didn't want to overdo it, so I just have a few. But that wraps up our rose composition. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first one. Now the second flower I think is even easier. You're basically making triangular petals for the flowers. So that is it. That is the flower. I did not double dip here, but I just picked a singular color to show you how the petals are going to work. Now I am sketching out my second composition and making sure that it's exactly where I want it. It's well centered. And again, I'm just doing the big shapes here and starting on these petals. So it's really helpful to rotate your paper and paint in the direction that you're most comfortable with. So that's what I'm doing when I'm making these large flowers. You will run into some other of the petals, and when that happens, you just go with it. You make some of them shorter. I also like to use the back of my brush and dip it in the paint so that I could put a center on each flower because I think that was a cute touch. And then a couple of buds. And I'm going to keep going and filling out my bouquet until I feel like I have enough flowers. Couple of more main flowers here. And then I'm going to start on putting the stems in. And I do like to use a lot of very curvy lines. I think this makes it a very interesting composition, and it helps break up a lot of that angularness of these type of flowers. They kind of look like pinwheels. They're so pretty. And I just love that fiery orange. It's like having sunshine in your room. Coming in and putting in some leaves now with your angular brush. Put as many or as few as you like. This is already a pretty busy composition, so I opted to only do a few leaves here and keep it simple. So for the last one, this is more of the messy carnation looking flower. I'm lightly sketching on my good piece of paper the composition. So let's get right into it. Using that beautiful violet and the cobalt blue on a scrap piece of paper, I'm showing you with the tip down, the darkness is going to be the center. So the blue is the center, the lighter purple is going to be the edges of the flower. So you're just going to go around in a circle and just make a whole bunch of messy petals. And this is a looser type of technique that still looks quite lovely. Now some flowers will be on an angle, so instead of you seeing the whole center of it, you will kind of see it as an elliptical shape. Now getting back to our real deal, and on the real piece of paper here, I am lightening up that purple because it is quite vibrant, and I do want that blue to show through as well. So adding a bit more watery mixture to that's kind of a tea consistency when I'm making these flowers. So once I have my main flower, I'm going to start building up buds and other elliptical shaped flowers along the side of my main one. Now, I haven't talked about the filler flowers that I wanted to use for this composition, but basically little buds of flowers on a long stem, kind of like a sprig of lavender. And I'm using just the very tip of the brush in order to make those filler flowers. This is going to give my composition a bit of height. So after I'm done adding in my buds, I'll work on doing some of those filler flowers. You can skip some petals and put in part of the stem and then add in some more petals. A few more buds, and now I'm ready to put in the green stems. Coming in and putting in some filler leaves with my sap green. So you guys will have to let me know what you think about these different flowers and which one's your favorite. Let me know if you're going to give it a try. Hey guys, if you like painting flowers, check out the next video I'm going to have up on the screen here to make some tulips. Hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial, and I'll see you next week.